From the Weather NorCal Command Center, this is your morning update.
Well, good morning, everyone. We're going to do the morning update on the fires, the fire perimeters, the latest satellite detected activity, that is, with the heat signatures coming in from those fires, and some of the distances from some of the local communities from those fire perimeters. That's what I go by, the fire perimeters. I don't want to go off of the heat signatures because those can be a little off, and I don't want to give any false readings here. And also, just to kind of remind you, I'm only doing it in the mornings, these updates for the fires, but you can check throughout the day on the 24-hour streaming channel on YouTube, Amazon Fire Stick and Roku, that is. And of course, you can also check out the live channel on weathernorcal.com. You can even see the live channel from your app as well, iPhone and Android as well. So be sure to check that out. That updates on a regular basis, not only with the latest fire perimeters, but also with the latest heat signatures coming in from the satellite as well. So that's also a great resource if you do want to find out the latest when it comes to these fires. There you can see the heat signatures that we're seeing. These are the fire perimeters that we have and the latest heat signatures coming in. Now, let's take a look at the head fire, and you can see no recent activity. When you get in the yellows here, that's 3 or 4 days old. We're not seeing any red, which is anywhere from, say, 6 to even 12 hours old. But the most recent activity is going to be those deeper areas of red. So here's the fire perimeter. It hasn't changed, so that means the distances to those communities have not changed either. Same situation for the Scott fire, the fires between the Scott fire and head fire. No changes here with these distances because, once again, these fire perimeters haven't changed a whole lot. And on top of that, we're not seeing any recent activity coming from those fires. We take you out to the Ufish fire, the Malone fire, and there you can see plenty of activity with both of these fires actually, but haven't moved any closer to Happy Camp. Both are approximately 6.4 miles from those fire perimeters. There's a look at the deep fire, and no red on the map here either, with the exception, of course, the outlying area of the fire perimeter here. A couple of days ago, we were talking about how moving closer to Trinity Alps Resort, but here it hasn't over the last few days because we're not seeing that recent activity here on the south side of the fire or anywhere around the fire. And that's, of course, meaning we're not seeing it move any closer to these communities, including Helena, Junction City, and Weaverville. Meanwhile, we take you up to the Smith River complex, and what we're seeing here is the fire perimeter to the closest to these communities here. So Smith River, Crescent City, and Hiuchi. This, you can see, isn't showing any recent activity. Now, I do need to mention this because for some reason there's some kind of glitch in the system, not my system, but the system that puts out the fire perimeters doesn't seem to be working properly, and we're not getting any of the latest fire perimeters, especially down to the south here, for those fires, unfortunately. But what I can show you, obviously, are the latest heat signatures. So you can clearly see on the outer perimeter of where we're seeing the older data, on the outer perimeter, we're seeing a lot of the recent activity here burning on the outside of that perimeter here. And then, of course, we've got this fire here, some recent activity there as well. So still plenty of activity with the Smith River complex. So something we're watching. Of course, as soon as those new perimeters come out, of course, have those for you. And, of course, be sure to check that 24-hour channel as well. Here's a look at the Perch fire, and look at that. I mean, just a lot of recent activity, unfortunately, with the Perch fire. I think I updated this a little bit earlier today with the latest fire perimeter. Now it's just a tad closer to the town of Orleans at about 2.3 miles, but not that much closer. Here's a look at Hoopa. There's a look at Willow Creek. You can see this. I mean, this is the Lone Pine fire. It's been several days since we've seen any activity at least being detected by the satellites. So we're seeing it not a very active fire. And it is up to pretty good containment. I believe last I checked it was around 75%, could be more than that. But there you can see the northwest side of the fire, the perimeter here. That's the closest to Hoopa, to the south side of the Hoopa here. But again, no really recent activity being shown by the satellite image here, detecting any of the heat. There's a heat signature right here showing some of the most recent activity that is being picked up by the satellite here, putting it about 8.9 miles from Dinsmore, 11.8 from Mad River, and about 5.7 from Hyampom. And we take you up to the north with the Lost Fire. No red on the map here, just indicating we do have some older heat signatures. So no recent activity here either. Hasn't moved any closer to Berry Glen or to Orick or for Johnson's for that matter. Let's talk about the smoke here, and it's the Smith River Complex that's really producing most of that smoke. It's going to be in Siskiyou County, into Delnor County, even northern portions of Trinity County and Humboldt County, but really not straying too far from where the fires are. Of course, the Sacramento Valley and the Eastern Mountains are all really not being impacted a whole lot by that smoke. Okay, so let's talk about the forecast now. Here's the deal. We have no more thunderstorms in the forecast at least through the middle of next week. We're going to take a look at Futurecast and show you the potential for some activity by the end of next week. But overall, highs will be near normal with no heat waves in sight. We take a look at our forecast for today. Temperatures around 90 degrees inland and the mid-60s here for the coast. A little hazy, especially for some of the northern portions of Humboldt County and the inland areas, and not to mention in Delnor County as well. And for Trinity County, it looks like we're going to see mainly sunny skies, but again, still some haze out there as there's going to be some of that smoke kind of moving in. The temperatures in the mid to upper 80s here for many of us in Trinity County. So let's take a look at Futurecast here and look at this. Here's this afternoon. No thunderstorms. Let's take you into Saturday. Once again, no thunderstorms over all of Northern California. This is great news. That's Saturday. We take you into Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week, Wednesday of next week. But look at this. By the end of next week, see this little swirl of low pressure? What's going to happen is we're going to kind of get that flow coming in. There's also going to be some moisture coming in from the monsoon moisture. So there's a pretty good chance if this pans out as we see it now, by the end of next week into that next weekend, we could be talking about the potential for thunderstorms for, a chance for everyone. Maybe even the valley could see some activity. We'll have to kind of wait and see what kind of instability we have, and not to mention how much moisture we have to work with. But I mean, look at the overall trend here for Weaverville. We're going to be in the upper 80s. We're going to see a little spike here for Sunday, Monday, but overall, upper 80s for those daytime highs for the extended outlook. No big changes here. The wave heights through this afternoon are going to be about 2 to 3 feet, so nothing major going on there. We take a look at those wave heights as we take you through Saturday. Not much change here, so if you have to be out on a boat, looks like you're in pretty good shape. We take a look at your marine forecast here for today. Winds from the southwest at 5 to 10 knots. Your waves from the northwest at 3 feet at about 7 seconds. And there's your high tide this morning at about 8:36. Your low tide this afternoon, or right around noon at 12:19. It could be some patchy, dense fog out there this morning. And we look at the forecast for your Friday. Yeah, I mean, it's looking pretty pleasant here. Upper 70s in Trinity Center, 72 degrees for Ruth. Temperatures mid to upper 80s for places like Weaverville and Hayfork. Garberville, a high of 94 with mostly sunny skies. I don't expect much of that smoke to make its way that far south, but hazy and smoky for places like Willow Creek and Hoopa. And of course, the partly to mostly cloudy skies along the coast with those temperatures in the low to mid 60s. So here's your 7-day outlook. We've got dry conditions across the board, hazy for Hoopa, maybe a little hazy out in Weaverville as well. But look at the temperatures for both inland and for Weaverville. We're talking about temperatures mainly in the low 90s, give or take, for the next 7 days. Let's take a look at your 7-day outlook for Eureka. Of course, no big changes there either. Partly to mostly cloudy skies. Temperatures in the mid 60s, give or take, and those overnight lows in the mid 50s.